Hi, everybody. Tom Van Hoy with this Pitt State volleyball update with head coach Jenny Mueller. Gorillas lost two matches on the road last weekend, 3-1 at number 13 Washburn, won the first set, and 3-1 at Emporia State as well. Now 10-18 on the year, 7-13 to the MIAA, a tie for 8th with Northwest Missouri with two matches left. Tuesday at Missouri Southern at Joplin, and then Saturday night at Central Oklahoma in Edmond, the Pitt State football team there in the afternoon, in a big MIAA and Super Region 3 game as well. Here's Coach Mueller on the play of her team at Washburn, including a win in that first set.
We did. Played really well. We dug a hole at the beginning. It seems to be our tendency, where we had a few missed plays at the beginning, and we weren't quite able to settle down and score. But once we got our feet under us and went for some offensive shots and set up some good blocks to shut down a couple of their hitters, we gathered a little bit of momentum and were able to push through to the end. I know at the very end of that set, too, it was of the first set, it was pretty tight, and it was neck and neck at the end, and then we were able to pull out at the end and score the last couple points to put us on top.
Yeah, as you get into that match a little bit, and I think you and I have talked about this before as far as momentum is concerned in a match. You had pretty good going into the second game of that match.
We did. We thought that, we were going to be solid and ready to go into that second set, take the momentum from the first set. But Washburn came out pretty tough. I think hurt their feelings a little bit that we had taken that set from them, and they were able to come in and put away some pretty dominating kills. We had a couple passing issues and some point scoring issues, and they kind of took control of that set and pushed the rest of the way through.
What when you look at that and compare yourself, I mean, is it a pretty good comparison for you to see what the number 13 team, the top 15 team in the country, looks like and can play against? Is that something you can work on and gain from?
Yes. I mean, I had a better feeling whenever we went into the match than what some of our play actually looked like. I really thought that was going to be a more competitive match, and honestly, I was looking to take a W from him. Chris does a great job, and he's got some pretty strong and talented athletes. But some of the gals that we've got, I mean, if we're on and we point score with on the attack, and if we set up a good block, I mean, we're pretty tough to beat. The stars weren't quite in the right alignment for us to continue and do so on that particular day. So it was a little bit frustrating.
When you look at a lot of the numbers in volleyball, and you and I discussed some of those previous conversations, but I guess you ended up with more blocks in Washburn. Is that a positive for you?
That's a big positive for us. He's got three big point scoring options for him, and he's got some other players that can score as well. But as far as if they need a kill, they're going to go to one of those three. And on the block, we knew which ones those were, and so we were able to set up a pretty solid block. I mean, to get 2.5 per set is a pretty big deal versus anybody, much less the number 13 team in the country. But they put up a pretty strong block against us, and while they didn't score as many points with the block, by them setting up a pretty solid block and our kids finding the block every now and again, with a tool or whatever, and they were able to run some offense off of that tooled block. It can be, I don't know, wears a little bit on the brain of an attacker if you keep getting the block touch versus your swing, and so it kind of makes you rearrange some of your shots. And like I said, we weren't quite able to do so in a way to help us score points.
Who played for you well in the Washburn match?
Let's see. Paula Okrutna had a standout match. She didn't get a ton of swings. She only had 24 swings, but she had 8 kills off of that. I know going into the third set, she had 6 kills, 0 errors, 8 attempts, and oh, shoot, no, that was against Emporia. But she had a solid match against Washburn as well. She was pretty efficient. She hit a 208. Haley Gregory hit a 250. And with the multiple positions that they're playing, I know Paula she'd hurt her ankle in the Friday match previous whenever we played Missouri Western, which was an outstanding match. So she's playing a little bit different position than what she's been playing all season. But like I said, fairly efficient with her hitting. Haley Gregory's another one. She hit a 250, and she had 7 kills on the night for us. She's just an efficient player. Whenever she's in the right position, can score points, but she doesn't make many mistakes. She only had 2 hitting errors in a 4-set match, and that's pretty solid. Maggie Heiberger also played pretty well. She had 12 kills. on the night. She ended up being one of our go-tos. She got quite a few swings. Mosier got some kills, but she also had more hitting errors. But towards the end of the season, everybody knows who your big go-to is. Mosier's been a big go-to for us. So, if they're going to set up their block accordingly, you've got to be able to move the ball around, and just wasn't quite able to do so to help us stay efficient.
What about your play at Emporia State after that?
Emporia, we came in. Emporia has done some really strong things here as of late. They had a rough start at the beginning of the season. They had knocked off Central their mid-season, and they've done some really good things. Bing has a nice program there. They used their middles and used their middles and used their middles, and they were very efficient. We had trouble setting up a solid block against them. Again, we had 2.5 blocks per set, but those middles had some great point-scoring opportunities against us, and they were able to close out and do some good things.
Well, prior to Washburn and Emporia, you'd won 3 straight at SBU in the Northwest and Missouri Western. You referenced Western a moment ago on Senior Day. Tell us about that match and how well your team played against a very good Missouri Western squad.
Oh, goodness, yeah. Missouri Western is solid. One of the big things that helped us out in that set was our blocking. We had 4 blocks per set, and that's huge. We had 12 blocks on the night in a 3-set match. Ashley Bell led us in that. She had 5.5 blocks, 1.8 per set, and that's just huge. That's unreal. Her mama was in town from California, and I said, all right, woman, you're going to stay with me until this season is out if she's going to play like this. She was super efficient on the attack as well. She had 6 kills out of 12 and only 1 hitting error, so she played really, really well that night. Mosier also played well. She had 14 kills, very efficient. She hit a .333. Haley Gregory was 7 and 1 error. She hit a .316. Hope Joyner had a tremendous night. She stepped in and substituted in and played really, really well. She had 11 kills. Unfortunately for us, she had turned her ankle that next week, Tuesday, Wednesday during practice, and we've just been injury riddled all season long. So it's been hard for us to get some momentum and to kind of get some consistency as far as the rotation in the lineup. So after she had such a tremendous match against Western, I was really hoping she was going to be able to step in and continue to help us out the following week. And like I said, with an injury midweek, it just wasn't in the cards for us.
Okay, you have 4 seniors, right?
4 seniors, yes.
Okay.
I've got one defensive specialist.
Honored them, I guess, and then just as you talk about them just a little bit, I know you were on staff there with Coach Subaru, but did they make the transition, your adjustment to head coach, easier for you? Because sometimes when you have older players, sometimes it's a difficult transition.
Because I had been here and actually had a hand in recruiting all of them but Haley Gregory. She had already committed whenever I stepped on and stepped into the assistant position here, so she was already on board. But the rest of them, I had a little bit of a hand in the recruiting. I guess Paula Okrutna had committed as well. He'd placed her at Fort Scott for a year with the intent of her coming back here when she finished. But Ashley Bell, he'd placed her there, and we were looking at whether to take her, whether not to take her whenever she was finished at Fort Scott. And we did end up looking at bringing her here, and it worked out well. Amy Wood played at Butler County Community College, and she's one that I had gone after and really liked her style of play, and she's got good ball control, real quick feet, strong on the serve receive pass, and she's really come into her own this season. So I was really pleased with how the transition did go with those 4. They have helped to make it more smooth, I guess, and they've looked at the standards that we've set up through the spring, and most of them were the same. A few things were tweaked here and there, and they had good buy-in and were helpful in keeping some of that strong character to show the kids that were coming in and some of the players that were returning. This is what we stand for. This is what we want to do, and this is how things are run. And if you don't like it, you better fix it or get out. And so we've had a little bit of transition, a little bit of turnover, but the ones that are here, I feel like everybody's bought in. And like I said, we're doing some good things. We've just been injury riddled this season.
Will you have with 4 seniors as you continue, it never ends, right, recruiting? What opportunities will you have to bring in some more players for next year?
We've got 4 that have committed, and our signing date is Wednesday. So knock on wood, all 4 of those ladies will sign their paperwork and get that back to us. And unfortunately, I can't speak on those 4 players as of just yet until it's official. But we do have some solid point scorers that are looking to come in, and we've got some help on the offense and the defensive side. So I'm very excited about our upcoming recruiting class, and we still have maybe 1 or 2 spots that we're looking to fill. We had 16 with 15 that were able to compete this year, and as I've said multiple times, with our injury situation, it was a wild, crazy ride. And so I'm going to look to pick up maybe a couple more players to help us make sure that we are deep enough that if we run into some nonsense like this again next year, that we're able to do what we need to do.
Is it like other sports where some will walk on and can have an impact in your program?
It's a little bit different in that way because they play so much volleyball at a younger age. Club volleyball is a big place for recruiting for us, and so a lot of players have been playing competitive, more year-round volleyball since they were 11, and sometimes 12, 13, 14,
Sure.
15. So, I mean, they've been playing quite a bit. And so the development that they have gone through in that time period with club, I guess the window of improvement is there. I think it might be a little bit smaller if you compare it to, to like football, to where there's going to be more drastic improvement as those guys fill in and their bodies fill out and, and they get stronger there. But usually for a volleyball player, what she looks like as far as body physique, junior, senior, and high school, she's going to change a little bit in those next 3-4 years. But she's going to look pretty much the same. As far as body control, we're going to have some improvement in that area, but she's going to be pretty similar to what she was, as a junior, senior in high school. So there's going to be some improvement, but as far as the volume of improvement, or fine-tuning is probably more so what you're going to see is fine-tuning of skill, form, and technique. And we're hoping the brain increases with point scoring because in high school and in club, there's a lot of brute force that scores points. But whenever you put all those brute force players together and compete college-wise, then the brain has to take over. And what are you going to do to outsmart the other team? And if it's played a little bit more like chess versus checkers. So, and some of that, it depends on, it all depends on their experience that they had through high school and through club. And, we're hoping to build on what they've got and increase the knowledge base with what we've got as well, and what we've seen has been beneficial and what's worked in the past. And then you kind of go to with, all right, this team did this and it was effective. Let's see if we can integrate it into our strategy system as well.
Are you more apt to recruit at the club level versus conversations with a high school coach, or how does that work? Because as you've been talking about, we have for a couple of interviews that we've done about the level of club level play and how important that is. So I just, from a recruiting standpoint, how does that work in terms of contact with maybe a club coach or with a high school coach?
We will make contact and we will recruit with high school. A lot more happens on the club season, the club level, because their season is opposite of our season. With our season being at the same time as the high school season, it's very difficult for us to get out and watch a lot of high school players. Now, with that said, high school coaches and high school players will send us film, and they'll send us, interview type information if we're asking some pointed questions on, what are your thoughts on this? What are you thinking whenever you see this kind of a block ahead of you and shot selection and things like that? What are your strengths? So you can ask those things and elicit that kind of information, but it's really helpful on the club side because you get to see them compete and you see their decision-making on court and live while you're there, and they know that you're there watching them. So you can see how they deal with stress and some of that, like I said, some of that competitive mindset whenever you're there watching them compete. So the club, it's very, very helpful on that side because you get to see more players. And like if it's an 18 team, the majority of the players on that team are 18 years old. And so they're competing against players that have a similar set of background. They've got a similar experience, a number of years that they've played and competed. And you're able to watch some players that are younger and see how they develop from year to year. That, for me, has been one of the fun and exciting parts of the recruiting with club, as well as you see a player when she's 15 years old, and then you see her the next year. And sometimes they've had a growth spurt, or sometimes they've developed more control of their body, and so therefore they can attack more intelligently on the ball, or their foot speed has increased. So you see them develop year to year, and you're able to watch them multiple times and against some different competition. A lot of these players will go and play in national qualifiers. They'll go out to Denver, and they'll go down to Atlanta, and they'll go to Dallas. And so they're playing against not just the same people over and over again in the Kansas City area, but they're playing against some people from California and Texas and Nebraska, and so they're playing some other top competition as well. So it's nice to see how they're going to compete whenever the game is on the line. And it's, if you don't win this match, if you don't win this set, then you're not going to nationals this year. So you get to see some more things, like I said, on the club level because of the situation, the circumstances that they're in.
All right, 2 matches to go. Regular season, you play at Missouri Southern on Tuesday, and then Saturday at Central Oklahoma down in Edmond, a couple of teams that you've already seen this year.
Yes, and both of them should be pretty solid and competitive matches. Missouri Southern, being the fact that they're right across the way, and it's just always been that's been one of the rivals, and the fact that they took us 5 and that they took a 5-set win from us at our place, I'm hoping that we should be very motivated to go in and take care of business. So that in and of itself is motivation enough to see some pretty intense volleyball. So I'm looking forward to that match very much. And then Saturday we go down to UCO, and that should be an exciting match as well. They've got votes to be ranked in the country, and with it being the last match that these 4 seniors will play and compete in their career, and knowing that that's the last time they're going to play that caliber of a team in this kind of an organized competitive setting, I think they're gonna stand up, and I think it's going to be a really tough match. We took them 5 at our place, and we know what their offensive system looks like. We know what their defense looks like behind the block. So the scouting report's already done. They haven't made many changes. So with the information that we have, and like I said, the extra motivation of this is it. This is do or die. This is the last one, and we got to leave it all out on the court. You don't want to look back and say, what if? And so I'm excited for that match. These should both be really, really competitive, and like I said, I'm looking for some great athleticism, some good fight out of our players. That's Pitt State volleyball coach Jenny Mueller. Gorillas do finish regular season play with 2 matches this week at Missouri Southern. Tuesday night in Joplin at 6. Southern at 4-16 right now, tied for 10th with SBU in the MIAA. Pitt State lost 3-2 to Missouri Southern at home back on September 23rd. And then in Edmond, Oklahoma at Central Oklahoma on Saturday night at 7. Central right now 15-5, tied for 3rd with Washburn, the MIAA, back of Nebraska Kearney and Central Missouri, who are both 17-3. Pitt State lost 3-0 to Central Oklahoma at home back on October 14. That's your Pitt State volleyball update for now. I'm Tom Van Hoy.